Hi guys, welcome back to yet another fun DIY sailboat refit video here aboard good old Athena. In last week's video I made and installed this beautiful piece of curved plywood, and with this glassed in place I can now go ahead and get rid of this stupid thing which I've been looking forward to for months. Pesky temporary support, be gone. I doubt it's gonna make much of a difference on camera, but for me, being here in person, it really opens up the space, and that dang temporary support got in the way all the time. My plan for this week is to finish the settee in the area here behind me. Now there's been a small change of plans compared to what I've shown you earlier, but we'll get back to that later. First, there is the small matter of the new knees, where the standing rigging attaches to the hull. I need to get the new core adhered in place and lay up a bunch of glass. And this coming Sunday, the weather is supposed to be semi-warm, so that's going to be my best bet for laying up all of the glass. All I'm going to do today is to patch up the deck hull joint up here and get the new core adhered to the old tabbing. Let's go ahead and engage turbo mode. And that is both of the cores adhered in place. As you saw, I used some oversized washers and some screws to pull the core and the laminate together. As is customary, I've left a little bit of a gap in here between the core and the hull. That is because Athena's hull is not a cored hull, whereas up here in the deck, which has a core, I've butted the new knee core here right up against that. If you're wondering about the little bit of laminate I laid up in the beginning of the time-lapse to seal up the deck hull joint, that is because the deck hull joint here aboard Athena is constructed in a somewhat silly way. There is no adhesive, there's no sealant in there, it is just two pieces of laminate laid on top of each other. And if we take a closer look at this area, you can actually see daylight through the deck hull joint where there used to be an old bulkhead. Of course, that is not great. For now, I'm just sealing up the inside, and then next summer, I'm gonna seal up the outside. I mentioned there was a small change of plans for the settee area here. The original plan was to build a U-shaped settee, something that would wrap around all the way to here. The new plan is to build an L-shaped settee. This is the original plan. This has got the U-shaped settee on it. The new plan is just to not build that little bit right there, hence giving the settee an L shape. The L-shaped settee will give us the same amount of seating, and it'll also be easier to get into the settee area. There are a bunch more considerations that went into this decision, but I'm not going to run through every one of those. Instead, let's just get started building. The first step is going to be to get rid of the remnants of the old settee. With the oh glorious sanding out of the way, I can now move on to the exciting and fun bit, the actual building of the settee. It's going to be made out of 4 or 5 pieces of plywood. The first step is going to be to figure out the position of the vertical front. Once I've got that lined up, everything else should just kind of work itself out. It's going to be exactly 55 centimeters from the edge in here. I'm going to split this area into 3 separate storage areas. The overall length is 146 centimeters, so that means each compartment is going to be 48.5. Allowing room for the thickness of the plywood means I need an offset of 48 centimeters, which puts the first of the vertical supports that's going to get tabbed to the hull right here. Before I start making those internal supports, I just want to make sure that all of the proportions look correct. To me, this looks pretty much spot on. With two tiny pieces of larch in place, I can now use the front panel to help support the two vertical pieces that are going to get tabbed to the hull. That is going to be very helpful. I've put a couple of lines down here where I want those vertical supports to help me guide them in as I adjust for the curvature of the hull. This is not going to be super accurate, but it'll get me a lot closer to the surface of the hull so I can more easily scribe the curvature onto the plywood. After a few minor adjustments, the first vertical support is done. Now it's just a matter of doing the same for the second one. Whoopla! Now it's just a matter of trimming the ends, and then I can go ahead and get these tabbed to the hull. Yep, that looks just about perfect. This is looking pretty good. With the two pieces secured, I can now go ahead and get them tabbed to the hull. Good morning, guys. It is a couple of days later. Let's go ahead and check on that tabbing. Well, this might not hold a full-sized elephant, but it'll definitely hold a baby-sized one. To support the plywood you're going to be sitting on, I'm going to put in this nice beefy piece of larch. I know the width of my seat here is going to be 55 centimeters, but I don't want to put the support at the very end of that. I want to leave a little bit of room for a hinge, and I also want these to be able to open up beyond 90 degrees so that the seats will stay open by themselves. Let's make the opening section here 50 centimeters wide. I need to subtract half the width of this, which is 4.5 centimeters, so that brings us to 47.75. The quickest way for me to remove the material I need to get rid of is probably just to set the depth of cut on my circular saw. The large support is all lined up. Everything is starting to look very spiffy. I don't want to leave the ends here unsupported, so I've made a little doohickey here with nice rounded over edges. This just goes right on the end here, and it's offset so that the support that's going to go here is nice and flush. That was pretty time consuming, but all of the supports are now in place, and this is actually starting to look like a settee. With the large support back there in place, I can now start working on the piece of plywood that's going to go between that and the hull. absolutely perfect. After a little bit of fiddling around, I've made this piece, which is the last of this section over here. I didn't want to sacrifice my last full sheet of plywood to make this little piece here, but of course that now means I have to glass this smaller piece onto here. But that's okay, I still have a little bit of glasswork to take care of in here, and I can do that at the same time. Good morning, guys. It is Sunday morning, also known as Big Glass Day. I've got a fresh supply of fiberglass. This is the 600 gram BX that I've used for tons of stuff here aboard Athena. And I've also got this. 500 pairs of my new favorite nitrile gloves. I've used a lot of different nitrile gloves over the years, and these are bar none the best ones I've tried so far, at least in my opinion, so I decided to just go ahead and order a bunch of them. The temperature got down to 6 degrees Celsius or 42 degrees Fahrenheit during the night, so we are definitely in fast hardener territory. Knowing the temperature was going to drop that low, I also turned on my little epoxy heating box last night. And as soon as I got to the boat this morning, I turned on my little kerosene heater to just try and raise the temperature a little bit, because working with epoxy in cold temperatures is really annoying. But yeah, I think I've done everything I can to try and make life a little bit easier for myself. Before heading home last night, I also joined the two pieces of plywood for the settee together with a glassed butt joint. So provided I get all of the glass laid up on the knee today, I can also go ahead and get this tabbed to the hull, which would be awesome. So let's go ahead and get started. Just like that, the new knee is done. I laid up the same thickness of laminate as the old laminate that was on there, but of course the old laminate was polyester and chop strand, so this is way, way stronger. With the knee checked off my to-do list, there is nothing standing between me and tabbing this piece to the hull. Of course, with all the glass I laid up on the knee, I might have made the knee a little bit thicker, so we'll see if I'll have to adjust for that. Nope, that looks perfect. Seeing as this is gonna get tabbed to the hull, I might as well also glue it to the larch to prevent any kind of squeakiness, because you're never gonna be able to remove this anyway. Now there is just the small matter of actually getting the thing tabbed to the hull. This week is really kicking my butt, but let's go ahead and get this done. Ta-da! Everything is finally tabbed to the hull. Of course, there's no back on the settee yet, so it doesn't really look like a settee yet, but that's gonna have to wait a while because I'm not gonna put the back up until I've insulated the hull and put up wooden slats. So that's probably gonna be sometime next summer. But next week I am gonna make little lids for the lockers here so that I can start using them as storage. This little shelf thing here, I'm gonna lower that a little bit, and that'll need some supports tabbed to the hull. So I think that is on the to-do list for next week. I could also go ahead and paint the inside of these, that would be good. But I think pretty soon I'm gonna have to turn my attention to the head. There are some different options in play in here, but so far my favorite is to put the door right here, have a sink here, mirror here, storage, head right here behind me, and then shower compartment over here. Of course, by putting the shower here, I am gonna have to build some kind of watertight door or hatch that's gonna go here to give access to the engine compartment and also the technical area that's gonna be in there, but I don't think that's gonna be that big of a challenge. And it would probably also mean glassing over this opening port light. But yeah, I'm gonna have to spend a lot more time thinking about the layout on here before I'm ready to commit to anything. In a couple of weeks, I'm going to be heading to Los Angeles to spend a little bit of time with my beautiful fiancée, Ava. And while I'm there, or immediately before leaving, I might have time to put together a quick little Q&A video. Those don't generally take that much time to put together, and it would be nice to have something to publish while I'm there. So if you guys have any kind of questions, go ahead and leave them as a comment down below, and I'll sift through them. There's a bunch more stuff I wish I could have put into this video, but unfortunately I am out of time. It was just way more time consuming to put this together than I thought it was going to be. So yeah, I'm going to have to end this video here. But I hope to see all of you guys next weekend for more DIY fun. As always, feel free to leave a comment down below, and don't forget, if you've enjoyed this video, remember to leave a like. See you!